All right, so today, more work on book. I was actually thinking about, and I was talking to my buddy. He got a tattoo yesterday, recently, the first time. I have a couple. This is what you guys see, and he was saying how they just they don't really have anywhere to go. They can't control where they go. They just go with the flow. I really like that concept, and I like the concept of that Buddhism, that Zen water concept. Beating down a boulder day in day out. How you cut through a boulder is a little bit at a time, just like water. And so that's we're back at it today. So start off. I want to read through my story again, read through the events that I have on here, potential events, and then I will continue working through the outline book. So the outline book we are using, same as always, Anatomy of Story by John Truby. So we do this because this is for screenwriting for TV shows and movies. So this lets us easily change our change the document into something else other than a novel, right? So I'm just choosing to write it as a novel. Not to be a novel. The story bones are the same. That's the key. Story has to be there. So let's see here. So we start off. Jesus experiences alternate realities where he doesn't have his powers yet. Alam believes these are lifetimes at different times in the past, like an avatar. During their discussion on the way to work at the museum, Flame's dreams on increase as a at work in the museum, is in trouble for correcting museum records after talking to Balam, his new primary source. He's tipped off because of Hugo's superhearing. Meets Fernand Rivera and the call because he okay. Pulled over on the way home. Fernand Theo accompanies and meet with a lawyer, gives him the treasure map, tells him about competition from another treasure hunter, which provides initial hidden in plain sight and leave a market below it. Escape the catacomb. Or it could be a whole nother scene. So right now I'm at 31. For reference, let's see. The first book in the the outline for that, and then we that hat. That turned out to be first book in the series turned out to be about 62,000 words. $59,000. So what happens is a lot of times these will start merging with each other. So they'll start I'll be like, "Oh wow, based on the story, based on what's happening, I can't get enough details, or I can't get enough words out of what is in here. So I'd have to combine scenes in order to get my word count. So I try and make every chapter about 2,000 words. That way people reading it can kind of get through pretty quickly. And it actually has worked really well. So a lot of the readers I've communicated with, or a lot of the readers communicate to me that they appreciate shorter chapters because they'll get through one and then get through a chapter and then they'll be like, oh well, I already got through one, I can just get through another. And then they can keep that in their head about like a good time to stop. So it's almost like potato chip concept, like one. So they escape the catacombs, rats and snakes, magic demonstration, Mayan magic demonstration, weaker Mayan magic. Face a masked Chaska after seeing her take off her shirt. Things include drops it. Running with Valentin Roca, spend the night in jail, even. Oh, how would they have burned Valentin? Like, here's a problem I've already found. So in here, Valentin Roca would be, but and I want the same police officer to be the one who arrests. But why would he be in Cusco? So the difference between Cusco and Lima. Say Cusco. Cusco to Lima is an hour and a half flight. So I'm looking at maps. 18 hours. 18 and a half hours. Go to Lima? Really? 18 hours. That I guess here to Miami? DC to Miami is DC to Miami driving. See how much I'm on my phone now. 17 hours. Cool. Peru. Directions to Lima, Peru. Driving. 19 and a half hours. Holy. Wow, they are very. It's like driving to DC to Miami. So they're not close. So there's the problem. So how could the police officer can't be a normal? Then okay, and so even if I don't have Valentin Roque here on arresting them in Lima, if I have him arrest him in Cusco, that just ends 8. Little problem. So one of the problems we see right now, Valentin Roque, Lima, why? That's a big one right there. How can we introduce? Question is how do you introduce Valentin Roca with I want him to be a decent character, sized character. Hercules. I want him to be I want him to actually be a meaningful character. So, kind of, the question becomes, how do we introduce someone in Cusco early on? I mean, here's one: meet Valentina Boca while filing a. Okay, we can think about it. Think about it while we keep going. Second clue solved by Billy out. What's the llama? Or is it alpaca? Or llamas? Peruvian Andes alpaca. Where? They're in Peru. Hmm. Pink alpaca. Alpaca's the big one. Alpaca. So, oh. Let's see here. Let's put it to find another treasure hunter. Oh, okay. This site searching relics after harrowing climb. Panther appears, guards the chest if he. Okay. Turn after being lost. Gone, put it to find the other treasure hunter. Casca alone realizes or in his dream about the future. Didn't realize it was. Covers chest and spends day in the city trying to figure out how come no. Abilio and Jesus spend the day wondering if they can trust Ferdinand there. Yeah. Andy. Oh yeah, this. Let's say closest mountain. Up. Volte. Maybe they travel. To be honest with you, I think right. So the second clue solved by Billy by the time they get out. Must head to. That's stolen mode. Okay. Being targeted. Yeah, so from here on, that works. Here on out. Like I said, I'm probably gonna have to fence these, so this might end up dropping. But like I said, Jesus Chan, the first book has 26 scenes. So even if I combine 5 scenes, that still should be enough to get me 55, 60,000 words. No problem. Go ahead and plug in through. All right, damages part portion soldering. Bye. Let's see if there's another. A lot of times these will just show up in the story anyways. But remember, the moral action has to be harming to somebody else. Hmm. This is one pitfall of having such a detailed outline, is that some of these questions take a little bit of time to see the answer. The way he describes it is it's like a crossword puzzle. So you have to get other letters and other words that way you can find when you're looking. The way that the author of the outlining book describes attack by ally. Explain in detail the main moral attack that makes against the hero. Again, write down how the hero. Oh, it's from Balam. Yeah. So attack by ally, cousin, wife, mountain just for excessive drive double cross and revelation one thing self hides in at all costs. So that's really what the obsessive drive is. Obsessive drive is what causes the protagonist in at all cost. While action breaks Casca out of jail. Let's go. Curtis Burn says that Jesus should have taught her a lesson, maybe. Patient, later. Okay, so here's a site. So here is a site that shows some in relics. So we can use anything. We can use any of these images or anything like this and be like, oh, it was lost in history. Someone found it and they're trying to sell it in the market, right? So we can have all these, excuse me, any of these show up and they're almost like lost in cards, yelling, top, sheet. That's gonna go in the mountain pass. Battle. Um, officer. Valentine plus Era plus gang. Code. Of Chask. All right. Final act. Felix. Two is for all. Full self for sides. Must must be a guide for other indigenous cultures. Okay, that makes sense. Finally gets it through thick skull. Vision. Know what that one is? Very end. Stops. Oh yes. Not have punishment to match. PC helping serve Machu. Okay, so the only thing this moral action, right? The big thing about a moral actions, it's like something that's wrong, something that's like inherently like that he could get in trouble for. So this is a good one. Breaks Chask out of jail, right? So that is he's doing like against it's wrong. You know, it's like that's a bad move. If in a vacuum, you're not supposed to do that, right? And the obsessive drive, yes, this is like a super guy, bad guy move. Not only did he trick Jesus to start with, also wants to take what Jesus has. Act by act. This is the only. This doesn't seem that bad, right? Like the other ones, they're damaging people's property, or it's almost like think like like in Bad Boys 4, when they're the chase scenes, they're destroying a ton of cars and pretty much causing mayhem all over the city. That's an immoral action, right? Like so the moral action for that example would be their two characters, Will Smith's and Martin Lawrence's characters, destroy property in pursuit, right? And then they have to. It's like the criticism will be from their boss, their captain. It's like, what the hell were you thinking? Their justification is like, but boss, it was a bad guy. So that's kind of the logic behind. But that's why this isn't exactly that bad, right? Comparatively, this one's not. Cover the chest, bend the. Trying to figure out how to come. No. Okay. Oh, here. Test. Oh, there it was. Test while they're asleep. Outlining is going good, Zebra. How's your writing going? Cranking out some more logs today? And if you can hear me, how does my sound? I tweaked a couple things with my mic, so hopefully you're still hearing me. Then there's blue. Finally, test with the treasure. Here we gotta go. This log will teach about a business, a person, and how the two can be one and be. Oh, that's actually um very similar to like the American mental or method, right? I think like if you're your LLC business. Isn't that how that works? Like you're technically both things in one entity. Right in line with the CPA talk of yesterday, right? Another car again. LC is different. LC is limited liability versus this method of hiding in plain sight while maintaining profitable and taxable status. LC is different than a business. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, dude, I'm gonna have to check out this log and so I can learn about how the two can be one and be legal myself. Out and you fight for it. Do you have a time that you start writing every day, or is it kind of like when you get done with stuff and get to it? Like I try and be on here at like 4:15, get going. Whenever the idea strikes. Oh, that's good. Good that I mean, it's good that you have enough ideas where it's just like, yeah, all right, well, let's write it down. Let's get it going. Overall arena, circular journey. Ma Go Machuki. Visitors see Marcus Antonio Hernandez and Marcus business. A good question. I don't really know. I mean, some of them, it's like, I know I can have like business for the business. Oh, yeah, yeah, I have the IEN. Interesting. Both contain license by law. Wasn't there like, wasn't there like a famous case that I feel like that I feel like not a case, but like the precedent goes back to, isn't it like the late 1800s where the precedent became got like instituted or something like that? There's a book I actually have on my Amazon wish list about this. I think it's called like The Company, but in it, pretty much they lay out how this stuff all came. Look up what book it is. There's a very specific book about this. Oh yeah, The Company: A Short History of Revolution. Company, stock company. Company actually ancient Argentine person mixed various areas. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I have this book called The Company. It's on my to read list, or like ready for my next nonfiction book. Look through this. I probably have dozens on. Okay, there's another book. Not The Company. What is it? Yeah, The Anarchy. Might like this. Talks and so that the Anarchy is about the rise of the East India Company and how um kind of came together in London's like meeting halls or bank halls or policies for having a personal site since sub require changing between. Oh, that's very true. That'd make a good plot for like a book for almost like the talented Mr. Ripley. That type of vibe. But it could explain why how he gets away with so much, how they get away with so much. Hmm. So if we so covered stay in the city. Pistol not front of preserve. I think Machu still kind of far. I think it's like 4 hours. Yeah, it's like 4 hours. Dang man, Machu Picchu really is out there. Like looking at how far away it is from everything, and it is impressive. Oh wow! So apparently Machu Picchu might have been visited in 1867. So for context, Pizarro took over, ended the Incan Empire in 1521, but August German adventurer might have been there in 1867, but it wasn't really found out by the West until 1911. Dang. By road or straight line travel? It's like Cusco to Machu Picchu is um says 4 hours by train, by like a combination of train and bus, I think. And it's wild because Lima to Cusco is almost like DC to Miami. It's like an 18-hour drive. You're gonna drive it, but it's a quick flight. And I think it's like a 2 hour flight, hour and a half. Keep the cat pretty hit pretty quick. Go to below the floor. I can't even. I have to think of something that Jesus has to do something like bad, but like good. So a more that's a good attack by allies that they're trying to leave, and then their ally Ferdinand Rivera, who we still think is an ally up to this point, says things like stealing a car to give chase, or manipulate. Steals. Takes. Asuka. Not only does she drop it, he actually takes it. Criticism from Balam. He was a threat. Izu debt paid. Go home. And then that's where so a moral action, he hurts somebody else. So hurts Chaska by he takes the chest from her in the mountain pass, and he also tries to leave Ferdinand behind and goes back to Mexico. Attack by ally. By ally. Or means saw Chaska they solve the that kind of it's wild because it's like nothing actually changed in the story events, but the kind of the conceptualization of them has shifted. um and so now I can almost like when I'm writing I can really make sure I hammer home these tensions and these conflicts, and that way it'll kind of keep the dialogue moving, because it's the easiest thing on earth to write conflict, because if you know two people disagree, you can just play out their whole argument um on the page, and it's just take both sides, like the Chris Rock and Will Smith debate. You take both sides. You could have the debate back, and you could even write a fake debate. Will Smith was right, Chris Rock was wrong, or Will Smith was wrong, Chris Rock was wrong. Easy. let's. All right. So the next step. Now we need to build our story world. So this is where we're going to in different parts of this building the story world is actually also why I kind of want to travel. Or not kind of want to. I need to travel to Cusco and to Machu Picchu because as it stands, I have no concept of even the most basic shit, right? Like in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, just drive down the highway. Okay, well, the highways from DC to the suburbs of DC, odds are rather different from the highways going from Lima to Cusco or Cusco to Machu Picchu. Heard about one slapping the. Actually, I've not watched the TV. 13 years. Dang, zebra. Good for you, man. So you save a bunch of money on subscriptions. No Netflix, no Hulu, nothing. And you're like automatically a cord cutter. It's interesting because like you're a cord cutter that actually doesn't actually subscribe to anything else. Oh, okay. Did you live in Africa or were you just visiting Africa? Are you up? Go ahead and go to the next section of the book. So again, we're using The Anatomy of Story by John Truby to outline this book. Oh, here we go. I'll drop a link to that in the chat. So that's the book I use to write. Um, the first two books I didn't use this book, but then this is what I used for the third book. So I actually read, gosh, I have probably what 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, about 25 books that I read about outlining, and then this is the one that kind of stuck for me. Yeah, I just accepted it. Living there for a bit, reporting on things happening that were not. I approached them as, oh wow, you approach them in the field or like through back or through channels, I guess it would be. I mean, you're smart. It's like you kind of get to see even the last couple of years we get to see the kind of the skew on so many of the news sources. I can't believe F off is auto modded. Also, like, can we talk about that? That's kind of ridiculous. Like, you specifically didn't say fuck, but then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, chat. I mean, I guess that seems a little visual. happening in Arizona insured. I have justice. I'm not sort of bit from previous some get. I think I ended up with about 100%. There's a kind of a Disney star named Selena Gomez, and she um recently kind of had an interview, and she said that she suffers from bipolar disorder. And the big thing though is that she has not been online on social media in any form for like the last 3 or 4 years, and she says she is so much happier because of it. I think you might be onto something, getting the better part of the deal there. All right. First, bosses. A word for like the person who pays. Say patron, not bosses. Softly. Does watch documentaries, and other items of interest. You can do little on Twitch, Twitter, and Getter, but don't get my news from any. Oh, okay. I get most of my news from Twitter. Um, there's a guy, Tyler Cowan. He's anonymous in at George Mason. So he actually turned me on to using Twitter for news because he said it's a much stronger um, news aggregator. Are we going with mine only, or between each? Oh, so the first book is Mayan, and then so at the very 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 beginning, we're going to see him at work at the Mayan Museum, and then quickly he meets the Incan, and then he goes to like within, I think it's the second chapter, the second scene. He's already, where is it, number, by chapter 4 he's already headed to Lima. So it was just like, so this one I like to, for this step, I like to write down all the oppositions that are going on throughout the book, so it's like I can keep them in my head about where potential conflicts might arise. So if we know that, yeah. Oh yeah, true, true, true. Oh yeah, man, those are quality. Very inspirational. Like having biased issues. Oh yeah, for sure. But the cool thing is, like, I was thinking, there's really not like any type of indigenous, there's like indigenous magic that are kind of imagined what would have happened if, right? Like, so what would a high fantasy in pre-Columbian South America look like, or what would a modern day African magic society look like, but that has been magic the whole time. So I think this is interesting. It's almost like a Harry Potter type of thing, where it's just, remember, Harry Potter is just a normal, relatively normal person living at whatever Privet Drive, 12 years old, but then he becomes magic. And so that's what I think this is hopefully going to have a similar appeal, because it's like normal people, relatively normal world, except wait a minute, magic exists. And plus, these are all things people can go visit. They can visit Chichen Itza, they can go see the codices, and there's one in Madrid, there's one in Dresden, there's one in Paris, and the other one's in Mexico. Out in the, not familiar with that word. Oh, I got you. Oh, that's true. Man, Zebra, you've been all over the place, man. Like you mentioned Transylvania mountains. Now you got Africa. Well-traveled individual. Second opposition between Ferdinand the American and Jesus. Ferdinand thinks he can get away with whatever he wants. Agrees till he. Okay, then there's Queen Cass. That won't come. Anyone? Oh yeah, and they, from what I understand, the military doesn't really care about keeping you in a place. Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds like it is easier. Oh, we have to make them visual though. That's only. But he board, stay out of the visual burn. Golf. So here we find out that the lawyer also gives before so Zebra before this year, well I guess not, it was like last September. I'd never crossed the either ocean, um, or even been on a flight longer than in El Salvador, so like 6 hours. And then my one buddy was getting married in Armenia, so I flew to Doha, Qatar. That was 15 hours, and then I took a 4-hour flight from Doha to Yerevan, and then the wedding was actually at a first century temple. I think it was made in like 77 AD. And so they rented out. They kind of closed down the whole temple area. And it was wild because this is one of Armenia's biggest tourist attractions. So on Armenian national radio, they were saying that it's closed for the day on a Saturday, and it was a pretty big deal. And there was a bunch of photographers and journalists outside of the complex, and there was a bunch of police officers, like kind of protecting the area, all because they just thought it was someone really famous. Qatar is nice. Oh, I got a buddy in Kuwait. I told him I'd visit, but I just never really know when the right time would be to go there because it's like such a big trip. Sand coffee. Okay. I'll definitely try that. Whoa, Turkish coffee made with hot sand? On. Let's take a look at. But the sand is super hot, and then they put the little coffee inside of the heated sand, it looks. That is interesting. Oh, it's just recording. I wonder if the sand just makes it a more uniform heating. Oh yeah, because the pan's so hot, so it foams up. Evens out the heat. Yep, that makes sense. I've never even heard of that before. If I keep this indigenous, so obviously start with Maya. I want to go Incan and then Aztec for sure. And I'm thinking like Inuit. But if it keeps going and we get a chance to make this story series go overseas. That'd be very interesting to get over there for a research trip and try some of this. Okay. Yes, similar. Visual. Four-part. Have how can we visually show magic? Magic practitioners, beavers, I'll say. Nature, community values, are mixed with elderly, young, non-mag, individualized, industrialized, ugly technology. So there's magic versus non, indigenous versus non. Hey, Peps. Slow paced writer, how's it going? Writing? Um, it depends. So I'll be completely honest. This is my first time outlining, uh, like on camera, and so I'm just kind of tugging along, and I'm hammering away, hammering away. And then, but the good thing is, once I get started on the writing, after the outlining is over, it's gonna be very similar, just kind of hammering away. But I'll have my 30-ish scenes, and I just gotta get my word count in. Going well, I think. Nice. Writer, do you have a project you're working on these days? A book, graphic novel, screenplay, maybe, perhaps. Got a buddy who's big in his screen. Oh, cool. So I've played around with making it on. I'm definitely exporting them to YouTube, and so if anyone wants to watch start to finish, after the book is already out, or even before, hopefully, but hopefully it's interesting to people or up and coming writers. But it's just I think a lot of times people just have this kind of concept that's like this super involved, like zoom, I'm gonna write my thing in 2 hours, and it's like, well, nah, man, this is a project. This is a very long project. But yeah, first stage of making a book, mostly busy with union work though. Oh, dude, I feel that, and I do not envy you, my friend. I went through, finished. Gosh, we're coming up on 10 years now. 10 years ago, actually, now 10 years ago this year. What genre of book are you working on? Zebra, what genre book is yours? I forget. I feel like you haven't said that. I try to remember. So right here, what we're doing, in case anyone video, and in case anyone on stream watching this is curious, what we do is we identify oppositions and highlight how they're different. So, for example, the example they use in the book um is in Harry Potter. So there's the wizards and muggles, and they show kind of how they visually are differ, and then Harry versus Lord Voldemort, and then so how they differ, and then Harry versus Malfoy. Oh, fantasy after the fall of Roman Empire. Oh man, that sounds super interesting. We were just It's crazy you said that. We were just talking about the Roman Empire the other day. This one will be like into my fan fiction. Sci-fi with some real. Oh, okay. That's what's up. Yeah, man. Zebra, you got to keep me posted. I mean, you too, slow paced. You got to keep me posted. We can celebrate. First opposition. Operation after PHP. Oh, chapter one for about a year now. That's fine, man. Progress. Progress, not perfection. Coming up, the main character will discover the laws of physics and gravity. Ooh. What's their name? Isaac? Maybe Isaac Newton, perhaps? Dude, Sir Isaac Newton is actually really, really interesting. He, I mean, like you guys might know as well, but right? Um, oh, speaking of which, interject my Isaac Newton discussion with a Seinfeld discussion. I'm watching through Seinfeld right now. I just got through season 9, episode 3. So finally getting through all of them sequentially. I've seen almost all of them, right? But it's just watching them in order, whole different beast. But yeah, back to Isaac Newton. Man, like the everyone knows him because of the gravity stuff, but even just if you look up his derivation of calculus, it is absolutely crazy that he came up with calculus at the same I think it was Leibniz he came up with at the same time, and then we use I think Leibniz's notation if I'm remembering correctly, as opposed to his, because his notation was too complex, which is like the fact that two people came up with calculus independently is fascinating. But this guy was just he was like a career loner. They're not sure if um he was gay or what, but he just would like lived and he just crunched numbers all the time. Third opposition we see is between Britain and the American and his has closing extreme comes from getting away, disdainful of the poor. values. That's a good one. So one thing we can add in, winning at all costs, dependent, Jesus, Jesus, values, friends, family. We have, if we go up here, we have a list of the character's values. We just add them to that because now things are starting to kind of come a little clearer. Winning at all cost, dependent, this add his as well. He values community, friendships. Then we already have family. It's possible he will. They keep part of his brain. Oh, I did not know that. Let me look that up. I wouldn't believe, dude. I'd believe it though. The guy was so smart. So they're probably like just trying to figure out why, like what on earth was about him that they could copy. Shit, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page, and even just the fact here, I'll put it up. Even just the fact that his Wikipedia page, right? Like, you know, most Wikipedia pages will have like a quick summary at the beginning. His quick summary is all this. Yeah, see, Newton also made and shares credit with German mathematician Leibniz for developing infinitesimal calculus. Like, dang. I'd be so salty if I made up calculus and then I come to find out I'm like literally putting out this paper, putting the finishing touches on, and like come to find out this homie in Germany has actually also did it. I'd be hot. Studied. Oh, they did study Einstein's brain. I didn't know that. Oh, what the heck? I'm not looking for Einstein. I'm looking for brain. Speaking of medical stuff, like studying brains, I'm reading a book called Medical Apartheid right now, and it is fascinating. It's pretty much how they use the Americans use black bodies in medical research, and it is super fucked up. Even just like the direct quotes, it's just like, dang, y'all wild. I mean, these are like you really. It's like Einstein and Newton are probably two of the OGs. Like those are the two big boys in the world of math and science. So I wouldn't be surprised on either one. Right. So we have indigenous versus non-indigenous, magic versus non-magic, and Fernan, like an entitled American, versus Jesus, the community-oriented. Entitled American, Jesus, community-oriented. Then we have so we have the American and Mexican thing going on. So all of these need to have different ways that they look within. Thought of a meme. Oh yeah, what's the words gonna be on this one, Zebra? If you can share. If you don't mind, if you don't want to share, it's fine. This is like an so here we have even within, so we have a fourth visual opposition. This one actually. I normally can only come up with two, but I'm really excited because I'm coming up with four right now. Fourth visual opposition is between I don't want to say like embracing or rejecting but like between treatment of indigenous identity. That's a good way. Very diplomatic. of indigenous identity. Costco dressed like an indigenous room, doesn't try to Americanize himself. Jesus accepts and embraces. Let's say embraces. Accepts and embraces indigenous status, but doesn't belong internally. Something like that. So ideally, when we're sitting here going through these writing, we try and really tease out and make these kind of like, even think in terms of different colors. Like for example, in Harry Potter, we had the different houses. So it's very easy in Harry Potter to see how they changed kind of they J.K. Rowling enhanced the opposition between Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter by making them in different houses. So he has the green of Slytherin and the holy shit, what is the Gryffindor's color? Is it red? Ravenclaw's blue, Hufflepuff's yellow. Gryffindor red? Does anyone know? Yeah, red and gold. So that's how like it's very easy for her to very easily see the difference between and you could really see the visual oppositions between the two values because like I said, Draco's green, Gryffindor's red. Um Voldemort's world, he who shall not be named's world is dark, the forest, the haunted forest. So he's got the Forbidden Forest, and Harry Potter has like the warm home of Hogwarts. And then you have the wizards have magic, and then the Muggles have technology. But so if you tease out all these, one, just identifying the fact that they're different, you start to understand how to write them. So it's like, for example, I don't even need to know a lot about Ferdinand Rivera at first because as I kind of tease out all these things, I'm like, oh, we see like the dichotomy between American and Mexican. So that's why it's like, oh, like how they look. Oh, we just beef that up a little bit, and all of a sudden he's this. And then so if you make all your different kind of diagonals that are splitting them, then you can make sure that they all stay in different corners, and you can have these very unique characters that all take up their own space on the page. And this is font size. All right, land, people, and technology. You guys all read Harry Potter or watched the movies? Just put a 1 if you've seen Harry Potter. 1 if you've read Harry Potter, 2 if you haven't. Any of the books. The story, land, people. Set in the present. Set in the present, literally in 2022. No, no Harry Potter. Okay, it's okay. You watch Seinfeld. You're cool. You're cool. You're cool. What is it with Montreal? Cell phone technology. One notable thing, I feel like I had to really embrace it. So I wrote my most recent book. I wrote in what was November, December, and I finished it in January. And I had to actively think about not including the pandemic. So it's like, oh, what would the world look like without the pandemic? Oh shit! Hold on, the other dog, my neighbor dog just came home. If Kita goes crazy, I'm like listening for my dog to run up here and start barking like a mad woman. Oh, not yet. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. The neighbor dog. It's like the neighbor dog's a super lazy dog too. Goes out like twice a day, and Kita just goes nuts. And it's funny because she doesn't move all day long. She doesn't do a damn thing. Even if I go to pet her, she couldn't care less. Leaves me like just kind of sits, leaves me alone. Like, doesn't even give a shit about me. But then as soon as this dog rattle of a collar, goes fuck. Story set in the present on transportation methods. Let's say fall 2020. We'll say this fall, and then we'll actually have it released in the fall, so people read it as pandemic never happened. That's an important one. Let's see here. Can't necessarily that it's a throwback. Um, takes place in South America. Guys. Greater reduction of back. Modern day press. Created and posed for some meerkat. Remember the most murderous species on. Oh, I did not know that. Oh shit! In a study of 1,000 mammal species, meerkat is the mammal most likely to be murdered by one of its own kind. Man, Zebra, chatting with you every day. I learn something new every day. I had no idea about that. Decrease in size, reducing great connection to nature, reduction in health and tech. We learn about ancient society. Relics. Survived. Vanished. Quest and witness effects. And thank you for the follow, slow-paced writer. Question, new follower question. When's the last time you worked on your book? Just kidding. Hopefully we can get through chapter 1 together. Learn about ancient societies and relatives. South American. South American. Oh, nice. That's what's up. 2 days. Okay, so you're making progress. And people see what I wrote for the last book. The story plays out in modern Mexico, developing country's major city with extensive Mayan and colonial roots. Here, travels to other large cities. Oh, right. So we can read this. The final battle place at Machu Picchu, surrounded by nature. First non-mat. First South America. Every time I gotta change font. Where's my guy? Palatino, where you at? All right, I think I'm gonna call it there for today. Slow-paced writer, great to meet you. Zebra, I'll still be here. So if you guys want to hang out while I play video games, just stick around on stream. By all means, ask me writing questions. You can talk about inventing calculus, whatever. But I'm gonna take a 5 or 10 minute break, and then I'll be back and probably hopping on Destiny. So see you guys in a bit. Thanks for joining.